First and Second Peter in preparation for this, that it's going to change lives. It changed me. Spending time in the Word wasn't necessarily just something that this campus needs. It's something that I needed. And so in growth groups this year, 6 of your meetings this fall are going to be devoted to the apostles' teaching, to hearing what Peter found was important enough to share with the early church, and that God now has put in this book to share with us. And so I guess, freshmen, you have to go, right? So it's required. So let me talk to the upperclassmen. Growth groups is not just a freshman program. It is an opportunity for all of us to live out some of these things. It's an opportunity for us to move beyond together. And I would just challenge you to set the pace for the freshmen this year. Even if you only go to these 6 meetings, I just would encourage you to enter into this study, to show those who are younger what self-discipline looks like in this area, to enter into this study, to use your brown journals in this study, to really try to see if Carlos is right. Maybe he's wrong. That if we really spend time reading the Bible, the change that it can have on our campus. And I think that's key to us moving beyond this year. I do.
When I was in high school, I played football, and our coach pointed out something really important about the game of football. He said, it's the nature of the game to get knocked down. It's not that you've done something wrong that you get knocked down. It's just the nature of the game. He said, it's absolutely crucial, however, that when you get knocked down, you don't stay down. Get back up. If you get knocked down on the right side of the line and the play is moving left, get up. You might get back in the play and make a tackle or a block, have a significant part in the game if you get back on your feet. What we heard yesterday was absolutely crucial in this regard, that it's so easy when we get knocked down to say, oh, I'm done. And there's a sense of resignation and give-upishness about us that's not healthy. And Satan is just tickled when we give up. And so the call here is to move beyond getting knocked down. We will all get knocked down. We're this side of heaven, and it's going to happen. I've talked to so many. In fact, I had that passion in my heart that finally, at about age 20, I would have arrived. I'm 66, and I haven't arrived. And I know that until I see Jesus, that's when I will arrive. That's when we arrive, is when we see him face to face. Down here, we're in this game of life where we get knocked down all the time. The enemy hates us, and he's after us. It's not to be a surprise that we get whopped and knocked to the ground spiritually. But the whole message of the Bible is there is an opportunity for rebound, to come back. Now, I switched metaphors in talking about football for a minute because I think it's a really important image that we're still in the game and we need to stay in the game even though we got knocked down once. All of us are in the game. I want to go back to Jim's metaphor. He talked about relationship with spouse. Got married in 65, and God gave us, graduated from seminary in 68. In 69, with a 7-month-old baby boy, we went to Germany. Probably 71 or 72, somewhere in there. I realized that my passion for Nancy had cooled. I'm not proud to report that. I panicked. Because I realize when you lose passion for your mate in marriage, you're in a very dangerous place. And the stories are legion of those who lost passion for their mate and found passion somewhere else. And when I stood that day in June in 1965 and made promises to Nancy, I meant them. And with God's help, I said, I will keep these promises. And so it was a matter, going back to Jim's word of passion, devotion, commitment, of saying, God, right now, I recognize the passion is gone. I'm devoted to being faithful to her, but the passion is gone. Renew the passion, please. Oh, my goodness, does he do that? Whoa. Just keep asking. It's really exciting when you ask him to renew passion. Sorry, Jim. Sorry. And I have made that in my marriage a regular prayer. Make it in your relationship to Jesus a regular prayer. Lord, daily renew the devotion. And that devotion will be for the book. Now, I want to go back again to Jim's image of what it takes to build a relationship in the telephone. My secretary here on campus years ago is a wonderful, wonderful person. And one day I started praying that she would become our daughter-in-law. And she's now the mother of our 4 grandsons. And a really, really exciting thing happened. They started dating in January. Our son was out of state in Annapolis, Maryland. And at the end of the first week of the dating relationship, I bumped into her at a basketball game. She was a cheerleader, and I said, well, Linnell, has he gotten in touch with you? She said, he's called me every day. In March, he was here in Winona from Maryland, and when he left and we got back from our trip, I found a telephone bill of his behind the couch. And there was a phone number on there, and I recognized it as her number here in town. And it was a phone call for 260 minutes. And I thought, wow. And so when we talked to him on Saturday, we always did, I said, found your phone bill, long phone call. He laughed. He said, yeah, but not the longest. Our longest was 7 hours. That causes very flat ears. And you know what? They were learning how to communicate. Their whole relationship was built on communication. In May, out by Miller Field, he asked me in the parking lot there, Dad, Linnell and I are thinking of getting married. What do you think of that? And I said, I believe that the two of you know each other better than lots of Grace students who have 2 meals a day and dates on weekends, but they talk about nothing. You guys, for 7 hours, no kissy, kissy, huggy, huggy, and they had to talk about meaningful stuff. They had to lay a foundation in a relationship. They paid a price. There was a passion that got renewed because the relationship was important to them. And yes, this relationship here on earth informs our relationship with God, and our relationship with God informs our relationship here. They continued steadfastly in doing things according to God's plan, God's word. Oh, my goodness. I urge you to do that. I'm a little techie, and I've got an MP3 player here in my pocket, and I've got 3 or 4 of them, and I've got different versions of the Bible on them. This is an English one. Usually I'm listening to German to try and keep my German alive. And if you see me walking around with a earpiece dangling out of in my ear and this wire dangling from my ear, I'm listening to the Bible. I want to hear God's voice. I don't want these guys, when I walked in, I had it in my ear, and they said, classic rock. And I said, oh, yeah, the classic rock. And so, when a relationship hurts, you confess. You get back on your knees, you get back and you renew. And you know, in the apostles, in this statement in Acts chapter 2, they continued steadfastly in the apostles' teaching, in fellowship, in prayer, this thing we've been talking about, communion. But when we mess up, oh, the glory is we've got forgiveness. They continued also steadfastly in the breaking of bread. Because relationships on earth always get broken, we've got to always renew them. There's forgiveness, there's confession. I'm sorry, I sinned against you. We do that with God, we do that with each other. And if we haven't learned it, learn it now. Start learning it. Get in it. Renew the relationship through confession and asking for forgiveness and weeping together and thanking God that there is such a thing as forgiveness and rebuilding the relationship, that we can rebound from brokenness. Some of us have sinned in ways we're pretty sure God would never forgive that. I've done some things that have disappointed God, and for months and months I wondered, will he ever, ever use me again? And I know what it's like to struggle with that sense of I'm stuck. But there's a thrilling hope for those of us who stay in fellowship with brothers and sisters and